Hello and welcome to the History Help channel. Today we will be looking into the last chapter in class 6, that is related to history. So we are looking today into ancient India's contributions. So we will be taking a look into the literature, art, craft and science. So the first thing we will look is the literature. So what has ancient India, that is the period from the early Mauryan dynasty to the Gupta dynasty, what were the contributions of the ancient India towards all these fields? So first we will start with literature. So the main thing in literature has been the Vedas. So there are four Vedas: Rig Veda, Samaveda, Yajurveda and Atharvaveda. So all of these are in Sanskrit and they were written during the Vedic period. What we have already seen was from 1500 BC to 500 BC. So these Vedas were written during that time, and so there are a lot of Sanskrit hymens in these Vedas. So Rig Veda was the earliest Veda. It has some 1028 hymens, and the number of verses are 10,552. So this talks about nature. It talks about the Lord Indra, the Lord of thunderstorm, and there are a lot of hymens based on nature and its gods. So it seems that in Rig Veda there is a mention of around 33 gods and deity, gods worship of the gods. Around 33 gods have been mentioned. So Rig Veda talks about the settlement of the early tribes, Aryan tribes, how they were there in the Sindhu and its tributaries, that's the Sapta Sindhu areas. So all this information we can glean from the Rigvedic books. Next we come to Yajurveda, that is mostly to do with conducting of rituals and how where they used to light a fire, invoke the fire god, and a lot of verses and hymens were recited during the actual prayer. So Yajurveda there are around some 2000 verses. So these came, Samaveda, Yajurveda and Atharvaveda came during the later Vedic period, whereas Rig Veda was in the early Vedic period. So Yajurveda has some 2000 shlokas, even Samaveda has some 2000 verses. And Samaveda, the beauty of Samaveda is it's in a musical form. You sing the hymens and you conduct the rituals. So Samaveda is the more to do with music. It's a musical in nature. Next we come to Atharva Veda, that is that has some 6000 verses, and it is more to do with the creation of magic, tantras and all. So these are the four divisions of the early Vedic literature of ancient India. Apart from this, there were many more books that were written. One is the Upanishads. So there are more than 100 Upanishads, and there are Isha Upanishad, then Kena Upanishad and all that. And Upanishads are written as a dialogue between a teacher and a student. So student will ask a question and the teacher answers. So Upanishads were written by people who thought more deeply about the God, and they went into the forest, did a lot of thinking, and so Upanishads are deeply philosophical in nature, and they are all it is written in a dialogue form. Student asks a question, the teacher or the guru answers. So there are more than 100 Upanishads. Out of them, some of them are very important, like Isha Upanishad and Chandogya Upanishad and all that. Kathopanishad and all. So then comes Puranas. There are some 18 Puranas like Vayu Purana, Matsya Purana, Vishnu Purana and all. And they are mostly concerned, they give a lot of stories and they tell about the family tree. Family tree of kings, of gods. So Puranas, so family, what do you mean by a family tree? So there is a king, who are his ancestors, and who are the sons of the king, who are the successors, predecessors, all that family tree from the root, all that is given by the Puranas. So we get a lot of information about the Gupta dynasty, and even earlier to that we get a lot of information from Vishnu Purana, Matsya Purana and all. So Puranas that way also help us a little, also act as a historical source. So next we come to epics. What are epics? So epics are Ramayana and Mahabharata. So Ramayana has some 24,000 verses. So Ramayana we already know, it's the story of Lord Rama, who was a king of who was a prince in in the Ayodhya, and he goes to and he defeats the demon king Ravana of Sri Lanka. So he travels from Ayodhya towards Sri Lanka, and all those places are covered in that Ramayana epic, and Ramayana epic was written by sage Valmiki. So reading Ramayana, we come to know a lot of the tribal kingdoms which existed during that time. We come to know a lot of the rivers, the places and the sages. We also come to know a lot about the society. So Ramayana, though it is a mythological tale, has a lot of historical information. So Ramayana has some 24,000 verses. Then comes Mahabharata. Which has some 1 lakh verses. Okay, it is one of the biggest epics, and Mahabharata also talks about two brothers, two families, Pandavas and Kauravas, who one is good, one is evil, and how they fight over the kingdom, and finally they have a battle, and how Pandavas defeat the Kauravas. So even this has a lot of information about republics and monarchies that existed during that time. So we have information about Gandhara, then Kosala, and even many monarchies and republics that existed during the early times. So that information we can glean from both Ramayana and Mahabharata. Apart from that, we have this Jatka tales, Panchatantra. So there are a lot of moral stories and tales from Buddha period. Some of them were written during the Gupta times. Panchatantra was written by Vishnu Sharma. So all these are the books mostly religious in nature. They're all religious literature. So this is one of the biggest contributions of ancient India. Now not only religious, we also have something called secular. What is secular? Secular does not have any, religious this one. Like it does not talk about prayer to gods, or is not related to any myths or mythology related with gods and goddesses. It's more to do with the practical, issues. Like it could be about social conditions, economic conditions, or it could be about administration. So all this type of literature or works or books are called as secular. So some of them are like Kalidasa. He has written a lot of dramas. He was during the Gupta period. He has written a lot of dramas like Raghuvamsha, Shakuntala and all. So from that, and it's in Sanskrit. So some of them we can make out how was the society during that time. Then we also have during the Mauryan times, we have Kautilya, who has written the Arthashastras and Dharma Sutras. So Arthashastras talk about the administration conditions of during the Mauryan Empire, their social conditions. Say we came to know that there are 6 committees in the city, and that Mauryan dynasty also had provinces. So all this information we come to know through Kautilya's Arthashastras. So you can now make out they are not religious. They talk about the life and the life in the society during those times. So Kautilya's Arthashastra is more to do with Mauryan dynasty, whereas Kalidasa's works are concerned a little. He was during the Gupta period. Then comes uh, uh, Sangam literature. That is so the Sangam age we have already seen. That is from the 1st to 4th century AD. So they are all in the South Kingdom. That is the south part of that is the Deccan, the Tamil Kingdom and all that. So Sangam age, a lot of poets had come and they had also written about the conditions existing in the south of India. So they talk about Pandyas, Cholas, Cheras. So a lot of kingdoms like these they talk about. They mention about the society. So there was Kannagi cult. So there, even today they worship Kannagi, who is it's a story of a woman who. So that all stories and things are still existing in the many of the Dravidian culture. So that is what is Sangam period. So Sangam is also a secular literature. Then we come to foreign travelers like Fahim, who was a Buddhist Chinese traveler who had come to study about Buddhism, and he wrote a lot of information. He has given a lot of information about the Gupta period, Chandragupta period. So Fahim talks about how the kingdoms were prosperous, what type of trade were there. He talks a lot of Buddhist universities, monasteries and all. Another Chinese traveler who came later after Fahim is Hunsang. He came during the Harshavardhana time, and he has also written about the Vardhanas, the Vardhana dynasty, how Buddhism flourished, how Harshavardhana was defeated in the river Narmada, this one, how he was defeated by Pulakeshi II of Chalukyas. So all these battles and society and social economic conditions we come to know through the Huinsang's books and even the Fahim's books. Another person who was very early foreign ambassador to our country was Megasthenes, who had written a book called Indica. That was during the Indo-Greek period. So he also has given a lot of information about the ancient India. So these are all the different literature. So first we looked into the religious literature, that was Veda, Rig Veda, Samveda, Yajurveda, Atharva Veda. Then we looked into Upanishads. Then we looked into Puranas and epics, which had come during ancient India. After that, we also looked into Jataka and Panchatantra tales. Apart from religious literature, there was also secular literature. So a lot of authors and poets had come and contributed. Like for example, Kalidasa had written Dharmas, Kautilya had written about administration, Sangam literature talks about South Indian kingdoms, and Fahim, Huinsang and Megasthenes also talk about life in ancient India. Apart from this, Aryabhatta during the Gupta period had written about this books on science and astronomy, and Varahamihira had written. So all these literature are a very rich contribution from the ancient India. So next we will look into art. Next we will look into the art. So in literature we saw both religious and secular. Now we will look into the art. So in art, India has given a lot of contributions. So the first thing we will look into is the Ashokan pillars. So Ashoka during the Mauryan dynasty, Ashoka, the king Ashoka had inscribed his policy in many of the pillars. We saw these pillars were made of stone and were very highly polished, so highly polished that they used to glitter and shine, and they also had some kind of animal figures, and there was a lot of inscriptions or writing on the pillars. Okay, so this is one of the greatest contributions. This kind of pillars have been found all through the country and even in Afghanistan and Pakistan, and this not only pillars, rock edicts also. So this is one of the art styles during the ancient India. So there were also animal figures. So like for example Sarnath, there is a lion capital. The lion capital has been used in our emblem also. So those kind of figures and polish was the contribution of ancient India during the Mauryan period. Next we come to, then during the Kanishka period, we had the Gandhara art. What is the Gandhara art? Gandhara is a place outside India, that is near Afghanistan, and people, the Indo-Greeks and Indians together created Buddhist sculptures and idols. So Buddha was depicted as a Greek god, and that had the idols and sculptures had Greek features in them, like the fine folds of cloth, the Buddha's face, and it had it had borrowed more from the Greek period. So this is known as the Gandhara art, which depicted the Greek features in the idols of Buddha. And it is said that the Gandhara art was very accurate. They gave more importance to realistic features. So you can take a look at the Gandhara art. Then Mathur, there was also another kind of art style which had developed, which is the Mathura art. Mathura art was, as the name suggests, its developing ground was Mathura, and it also depicted idols and sculptures, but in a more idealistic way. It didn't have Greek features. It was completely Indian. It was made of red stone. So that is the difference between Gandhara and Mathura. Mathura art also depicted Buddhist sculptures, but it had Indian faces, and they were more idealistic, not very accurate. They just depicted Buddha as a god. So all these came during the more or less they came during the Kushan period. They were given a lot of patronage and during the Kushan period, and also because Buddhism, Mahayana Buddhism is the where Buddha is considered as the god. Mahayana Buddhism. So Mahayana Buddhism had come during the Kushan's period. So both Gandhara and Mathura art depicted Buddha as the god and did a lot of works. Okay. So this is the second contribution in the ancient India. The first was the pillars and edicts. Second is the art style. Then we will look into, okay, then there was a lot of stupas and monasteries. Now, the monastery was a place where Buddhist scholars or Buddhist travelers would take rest, or also they used to sit in a prayer hall and all. But stupas were the place where some kind of relic of Buddha would be kept. So a stupa would be having a chamber, and there would be a circumambulatory path to go around the stupa. So stupas and these Buddhist shrines were actually inspiring the temple art which came later. So you can see the example of Sanchi stupa here. So it has a circumambulatory path. There is also a casket which is kept inside a chamber. So this became an inspiration for the temples later on. So Sanchi Stupa, Amarnath, all these places, a lot of Buddhist monastery, cave temples, during the western and the eastern Ghats, cave shrines and viharas came. That is another contribution. Then came the Ajanta paintings. So Ajanta paintings, though it had come during the Gupta period, it still survives, and the colors that have been used during that time still exist today. So all they were all from the work of the depicts majorly depicts about Buddha stories and life of Buddha. So all of them are very nicely done, and it is still preserved over the years. So Ajanta paintings also have been one of the greatest contributions of ancient India. So coming to South India, we have cave temples which were built by Chalukyas. Chalukyas built a lot of cave temples in Badami, Pattatkal, Aihole and all. Aihole they built structural temples. In Badami they have built cave temples. So that is also another contribution. And we have we have the Kailashnath temple, which is made of a single rock stone that is famous in Ellora. Then in south we have shore temples at Mahabalipuram and Ratha temples. Ratha temples is they are made chariots dedicated to Pandava brothers, Bhima, Arjuna, then there is Draupadi. All of them are made as a chariot from stones. So this is known as Ratha temples. There are 7 such Rathas in Mahabalipuram. So that is also one of the greatest architecture during those times. Then we can also talk about craft. Under craft, ancient Indians knew about metallurgy. So steel was something they exported, and steel swords were one of the finest. They used to export, that was the quality of steel. Such good steel they knew how to mold and prepare. Not only that, iron. They also knew about iron smelting, iron metallurgy. One of the pillars done during the Gupta time period, that is in Mehruli outside Delhi, also is still surviving. That pillar is around 7.2 meters high. It is rust free even today. So the Delhi pillar is one of the wonders which is still standing today, and iron has not rusted. It is still solid, and there are inscriptions on the Mehruli pillar. You can take a look here. So this is the craft work. Also they knew a lot of colors, dyeing. So textiles would be dyed, and color blue from indigo was also known. So many of the paintings in Ajanta are colorful. So they knew the secret of getting colors, natural colors. So that is also one of the contributions of the ancient India. Then this is about the art. So we have covered about Ashokan pillars. We have covered the art styles, Gandhara and Mathura. We have covered the shrines and temples like stupas, monasteries. We have also talked about cave temples, then single stone temples like Ellora, Kailashnath temple, then shore temple and Ratha temples. We have also talked about Ajanta paintings. We have also talked about the iron pillars that are still standing. We have talked about steel and colors. So this is the art and craft. Now we will look into science. Finally, we will look into the science. So under science, we will look into maths. We will look into medicine. And we will look into astronomy. We will not cover this in great detail, but in the next few weeks, there will be several videos based on these things. So the basic things we will learn here. So ancient India's contribution to maths has been the use of zero. Okay. Not only that, it also has developed the numbers 1 to 9, the numerical system. So, and not only the numbers, ancient India has also given the decimal system. That is the point. So after 1 comes 1.1, 1.2, so on till 1.92. So all this what you learn in maths, that the point system or the decimal system, is also a contribution of ancient India. So if you actually see the Harappa Mohenjo-daro period, there has been the use of scales, which connects us, which gives us more information about the measurements used. Also, if you see Harappan, we have already spoken about the Harappan buildings having a standard brick size. Okay, so the brick size, its length, width, height, all of them use certain measurements which ancient India already knew. So from here, the Arabic world used to trade with the Indians long back, and took over. They actually took these ideas to the Western world. So, but ancient India's from India, it has gone over to the other parts of the world. So, if you actually look, we have given significant mathematical information to the world, from starting from zero to number system to the decimals. Then coming to astronomy. So we have also seen Aryabhatta during the Gupta Empire period. He had given a lot of information about the Earth itself, how Earth revolves around its axis, how Earth rotates around the sun, and how Earth is a sphere. So all that he has talked about in his book Aryabhattiyam. So he has talked about Earth being a sphere, revolving around the sun. So even before the Western world came to know that Earth was a sphere, Aryabhatta had already written in his shlokas in Aryabhattiyam all these things. He has also talked about eclipse, both lunar, that is moon, and solar, sun, what causes them. And he also has written he's also told about the composition of the earth, and all these contributions he has done. In fact, he has calculated the circumference of the earth, which is still today accurate. So these are the not only Aryabhatta, there were various others like Varahamihira in Chandragupta's court, and they have also given a lot of information about the eclipses and the galaxies in the Gupta period. So then coming to medicine. In medicine, we remember two scientists, Charaka and Sushruta. So Charaka has written a book called Charaka Samhita. So they have also given a lot of information. In fact, Charaka Samhita talks about the different herbs, plants, flora and fauna found, and it also talks about diseases like leprosy and all. And Sushruta was one of the first plastic surgeons. He used to do nasoplasty, that is nose, then lips, face and all. And he has given detailed instructions on how to do a plastic surgery. So he tells what are the precautions to be taken before an operation, after operation how it should be bandaged. He mentions honey and ghee to be used. So he also talks about diseases. Ayurveda was also one of the Indian contributions. So Indians knew how to diagnose a disease, what were the treatments. We also used to do surgery. So all these are the contributions of under the science and maths field. So thus we see that ancient Indians had given were already very advanced and had made a lot of contributions in literature, art, crafts, science and maths field.